you bring up the fact that they are like foreign owned. They're Israeli. That's an interesting topic here as we talk about internet protection and what's going on. Talk to me a little bit about this idea of like, these websites and what's going on, and why do so many Jewish people own these pornography websites or are found to have be founders? Like, it's such a bizarre coincidence.
I mean, it is kind of crazy that a certain group of people own majority of the pornography sites. Same group of people own all the privacy companies, all the cybersecurity companies. And like, how does that correlate? I mean, I think there's a lot of people that put dots together, but at the same time, it's always the same group of people that own those three industries: pornography, privacy, cybersecurity. And it's like, okay, they want our information. They create companies that say they protect your privacy, but yet they're collecting your data. And then they create the companies that say we're going to protect you online, but yet they're also collecting your data. So they know everything about you. And the reality is that your information and your traffic and what you do online is probably one of the most private things you own. If I know your internet history, or if I know what you're doing on the internet, I know who you're talking to, I know what you like to eat, I know what you want to buy, I know what you like to shop, I know what your kinks are, I know what your side chick is doing, I know what your other side chick is doing, I know where you're going on vacation, I know where you're going to go on vacation with, I know what business you're going to get into, I know what business you're trying to get into, I know what business problem you're trying to solve right now. I know everything about you if I know what you're doing on the internet. And we're giving all of that information to the same group of people and same group of companies in the same region of the world. I don't know why that's not a problem. When we said we're going to stop TikTok because TikTok is, the Chinese are taking all of our data. Like, who the hell cares about your like doom scrolling on TikTok? There's actually nothing there. You're just consuming content. You're not inputting content. You're not inputting your information. But when you talk about your browser history and what you're doing on just in general on the internet, that's a lot of your own input. You're providing information into the machine. In TikTok, you're just consuming. So it was such a big problem that the Chinese are taking your data. I'm not saying like that's a good thing, but that was such a big deal. But no one ever talks about the fact.
He's not Chinese, by the way.
Not
Chinese. A guy with small eyes being like, by the way, what does it matter if Chinese people take your data? It's like, it reminds me of like Mark Levin, being like, who cares about the Epstein files anyway? It's like,
Yeah,
not everyone. Yeah, he's Korean. But so and the Koreans, weren't treated so well by the Chinese and vice versa. So there's a little bit of history there. So this is what I want to talk to you about. So I feel like I'm a bit retarded. I used to push ExpressVPN a lot. I want to talk about protection. Let's start with talking about internet access. Okay. So you go on Google Chrome and you want to look at somebody's body that doesn't belong to you, right? I'll just put it nicely. And you click onto the website and you put on a private browser. How safe is that data in a private browser? Who's able to see and not able to see? Like I mentioned earlier, that you're looking at Lois Lane and Quagmire Brian three-ways. Weird stuff people type in on the internet, right? But it's a private browser. Where's that information going? What is it doing? Who's seeing that?
So when you use a private browser, the only people that you're hiding your information and where you went from is actually your loved ones around you. So actually, the private browser is used to protect your information from the people closest to you. So if you don't want your wife or your girlfriend or your friend who has access to your computer to know what you do on the internet, use a private browser. They can't see your history. That's all that's solved. Who can see your data is the ISPs, any government agency that requests that information. They store, log, and are able to see everything you do on the internet. So if you're thinking about, a private browser, no one's ever going to know that I watched the Quagmire porn. Actually, you're wrong. All the people you don't want to see really can see all of that information. So this is a huge problem. When we say that the ISPs can see your AT&Ts of the world, your Verizon, your T-Mobile or whoever internet service provider that you're using, they can know and see all your internet traffic.
Can I ask you something about that? So who could see that? Is it, I'm asking for a friend, by the way. Mendoza actually asked me to ask this, so it's not for me. This is for the producer.
Yeah.
Who at these companies can see that information?
I mean, any network administrator that they can, or it's all stored as information. Any federal agency can request to see that information, and they would hand it over, and you would never know that was handed over. So when you talk about, Palantir is taking all these all this data about us, and they're trying to create logs and record everything we're doing online. Well, where do you think they're getting that information from, by the way?
The ISPs.
I mean, where else?
Can they sell it legally?
No, they don't have to sell it. They just have to request it. So there's a law in the United States called the Cloud Act. It was passed in 2008. And what it says is, regardless of jurisdiction of the company, if a data center has information on you and an agency shows up and asks for it, you have to provide it. So your information, if it is exposed, it is not safe. Because all the government has to say is, give us the information and here's a gag order. Don't tell them that you gave it to us. You have no idea how much of your personal information is being given up to the government, to different businesses, to different tech companies, to different privacy brokers, or whatever it is. You would never know. The only way to protect yourself is actually you have to go out of your way to protect yourself. That's the only way to do it.
So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, actually.
Yeah, not
So
looking good for us here in the office. I'll tell you that's
there
not
is a
good at
list
all.
of all the websites Elijah Schaefer has gone to, and it says Quagmire Porn, Lewis. And you're
Wow.
like, fuck, I can't believe they have it all.
Well, at least they don't have the Brian page. That's the key thing. I'm actually worried more for our tech guy, Brian Mendoza. I don't know what that guy's looking at, but it's definitely some crazy shit. Keeping it kosher, for lack of better words. So we're talking about this, and this is obviously serious because, theoretically, I was talking to one of our journalists at the publication I work at. His name was Jordan, and it was on our meeting in sitting in front of the White House. And I was kind of laughing. So I'm like, I'm going to be very careful with my wording. This is kind of just funny, right? Like you're like at the president's house, taxpayer funded, like how fragile our world is. Just some random guy. Like they don't really know that you're safe. He is very safe. I'm going to clarify, and very cleared digitally and whatever. But meaning like, just like you can just be there, right? Like a lot of people are very disconnected from the world and the way things work. And they just kind of, go to an ice cream shop to eat ice cream, and they buy a sandwich from Subway, and they don't think about where the bread comes from and what's in it and how the trade goes and how the global economy works and the currencies work to trade those ingredients across the world, etc. And it's, people don't jump into that. But I was with him there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, it's crazy, man. There is a huge factor. You're sitting in the White House, like trust is everything.
Yeah.
I'm going, like the whole point of all this is like the reason why you don't think about it is because you just know that you're not getting poisoned from Subway theoretically. And again, health nuts don't talk about seed oils. Just stop. I mean, theoretically, you're not going to die if you eat a Subway sandwich tomorrow. Same thing goes with his job at the White House. Like it's like crazy. Like they use like 50 cars and paramilitary operations to keep the president safe. But like one of our guys can just walk in and be like, "Yo, what's up, dog?" And like go in there like. You ever think about these crazy things? Like, what if his camera was like a gun or whatever? Like, how do they like know that things are safe? And you're going, what? There's a certain level of humans where I can trust this guy, which is why interviews are so important. It's when you get to know somebody and you realize what is their character. And I think kind of like not thinking about what Subway makes or where they get their ingredients. We don't really think about what happens with our internet information and how embarrassing that could be if people found out what we really search up. You know what I mean? And someone knows it.
Well, it's not even whether or not someone knows. It's just the whole idea of privacy is actually really important. So if they remove your ability to be private, it actually removes your ability to organize in the future. So I'm not saying we should have like some sort of rebellion or whatever right now. But what if one day in the future you actually need one? If there's no privacy, you can't organize, you can't communicate, because you would never be able to get away with it. They are removing your ability to have privacy because that protects them from anyone ever uprising against them. You have to protect your privacy. It's not only just, am I watching crazy shit on the internet? But it's just the idea that once you strip you of your privacy, you lose your ability to organize in the future. It's actually much bigger than that. Privacy is essential to freedom. When you lose privacy, you lose your ability to fight back.